talk about the world's alleged model of freedom, the United States, the nation that never fails to preach in the name of democracy, and its politicians never fail to present themselves as protectors of freedom of choice. The nation prides itself on being the land of the free, while minorities are deprived of proper representation. Ballots are not always a voice, and elections don't represent the majority. So let's talk about the US presidential elections and all the ways the nation is not a democracy. Direct democracy in the US is subject to several structural restraints. One of these is the Electoral College. Because of the way the Electoral College works, there's essentially no national election, but rather a state-by-state election, with each state having varying weights in determining the President of the United States. As a result, a candidate can win in the majority of popular votes, but not the majority of electoral votes. For example, in California, which is entitled to 55 delegates, if 8 million voted for a candidate and 6 million contested candidates, all 55 delegates' votes go to the first candidate. This means that more than 40% of the voters will not be represented, or that the winner of the popular vote is not elected. During the last 6 elections, at least 2 presidents were elected despite losing the popular vote. Consider the 2016 presidential election, which pitted former President Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton. Trump received 306 electoral votes, but Clinton received nearly 3 million extra votes in the popular vote, but still did not win in the presidency because the states she won did not have enough weight in the Electoral College. Another restraint to the democratic system is the state border adjustment system, known as gerrymandering. We frequently associate the term gerrymander with a legislative district that is obscenely shaped, like the salamander-like Massachusetts district that was created to help the Democratic Republicans win a majority in the Massachusetts Senate in the election of 1812. Over the years, partisan gerrymandering has created a number of bizarre districts. Politicians redraw electoral districts within the states to include neighborhoods inhabited by voters of certain ethnic backgrounds to influence election results. For example, to secure access for Republican Party candidates, white areas in North Carolina were pushed into a single electoral district. That said, there's nothing natural about states. At various points in time, parts of what is now Wyoming were also a part of the states of Oregon, Idaho, Dakota, Nebraska, and Utah. Another undemocratic practice is voter cleaning, which is also referred to as voter purges. It is an administrative procedure that removes voters who have moved, died, or otherwise lost their right to vote. However, states frequently use this procedure to disempower large numbers of eligible voters by removing their names from the list without sufficient advance notice and on illegitimate or inaccurate grounds. The US democracy is debased when the vote is not accessible for all, but the fact is that some groups are affected by voter suppression tactics, including people of color, Latin Americans, and other minorities, to keep them away from polling stations. According to a collection of various reports, 1 in 16 Black Americans in the United States are unable to vote due to voter suppression laws. This is a vivid example of canned American democracy. The nation that preaches in the name of democracy was built as a white-dominating nation that annihilated Native Americans and was committed to slave ownership and genocide to build and protect the so-called American dream. The nation masked its imperial and hegemonic brutality abroad by selling democracy to different nations, such as what became war-torn Iraq and Afghanistan, creating instability and killing millions of civilians. The US prides itself on being a beacon for democratic ideas, but its Middle Eastern policies far too frequently contradict these objectives, making American backing for their cause a disastrous and damaging liability. In order to conceal its plans of expansionism, the US attempts to sell democracy in the Middle East and other parts of the world, while it fails to be a democracy in the nation itself.